Everybody ready? Oh, yeah. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So we got a big day here today because I know a lot of you have a lot of questions. I've spoken to a lot of you on the phone and saw a lot of emails. You know, it's my job to teach everyone here how to buy apartment buildings in less than 8 hours. So we're going to do our best. But I learned from this 3-day course that I gave 2 months ago that it's all in the manuals. So this is really just the beginning. And if I don't get to your question today, and if you don't ask me the right question today, you'll be able to reach me. So let's get going. I mean, what an exciting week, and you take a look at what's happening in Wall Street and in the real estate markets. I got a lot closer to a deal this week I'm going to share with everybody today, and I went out and looked at a few deals with some people here with us today. So mindset. We're going to start with mindset because I found over the last half a year that I can teach people how to buy apartment buildings, and I can give you all the ammunition you're going to need, but then something happens Monday morning. And I don't want that something to happen to you Monday morning. I really want you to start taking massive action. So that's my real goal today, how to get you to take massive action and use the tools that you purchased a few weeks ago. Mindset. You're going to have to do something within yourself to say you want to do it differently. You don't want to keep continuing on the same path that you've been on. And there's only so much I can do. I can just tell you that I was on the same exact path, but I had to take control of my mindset. And we can talk about mindset for 3 days, but we're really only going to talk about it for 5 or 10 minutes. And I can only share with you personal experiences because I think that's why we're all here today. You guys were kind of drawn to my personal experience. So this is actually very easy for me to do because I'm just going to tell you about my personal experiences. Even today, for example, mindset. What do? I wake up in the morning. Every other day I walk or I jog outside, and I actually go through my mindset. And part of my exercise is I tell myself, almost like with affirmations, I'm going to own 1,500 apartment units. I'm going to own 200 houses. I'm going to have $100,000 in cash flow every month. I'm going to have $5 million cash in the bank. I'm going to have a best-selling book, and I'm going to have a best-selling course, and a few other personal ones. I go through that every single morning. And if you really want to make this work, you're going to have to do the same. And I know you're all busy, but it's, for me, it's actually 45 minutes to 60 minutes every morning because I've set my life up. So I can do it that way. Maybe for you, if you can't, 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's incredible what we would do for other people. It's incredible what we do for our children, but we won't do for ourselves. It has to stop. If you can't take care of yourself, how can you take care of others? Starts with your mindset. If this is the things you truly want, if you really want to buy apartment buildings, my services are here. And they're also in that manual. It will absolutely happen. So sit back, relax, say, yes, you know what, I'm going to let go of whatever's bothering you. And, take it in today. Just take it in. Accept it. Try something new. If something's bothering you from last week, or if someone pissed you off, or if something just kind of moved around the chemicals in your body, well, try to get them back to where you belong and where you should be anyway. Mindset. So let's do it. We're going to get going now. That's my introduction. This is really your class. So ask questions. Some of you might want to really drill into some of the numbers. I have to respect everybody in the room, so I can't use this whole day just for 1 or 2 people. If there's some kind of concept that we can't get in 5, 10, or 15 minutes, we'll talk about it later and we'll move on, just to be fair to everybody else. So knowledge. Knowledge is power. We've heard it. You have to decide what you're going to do with your knowledge. In my house, we don't have television. We have flat screens all over the place with Netflix on it, but that's one of the ways I control the knowledge my family sees and then I see. A lot of you know I have a Wall Street background for almost 15 years. It's so easy to get sucked into 500 points up, 500 points down, gold's up $200 in the last 2 or 3 weeks. But what does that really mean to us? It's really, even if you have money invested, it's not affecting your life today. And we need to affect your life today. That's what we're going to do here today. So when we're talking about knowledge, you know, if the apartment buildings, you want to do it, don't let a single day go by where you don't gain knowledge. Try to gain as much as you can. If you're too busy, you know, make sure you learn one thing. I have this saying in the real estate business, if you can just accumulate assets as you get older, whatever it is for you, for me it used to be once a month buy a house or once a quarter or once a year. Before you know it, I mean, we all know how time flies by, but then you wake up one day and you're 41 years old and you say, you know what? I don't want to stand in that pit anymore screaming, sell, 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 buy, 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 5 1/4, 5 1/2 sold. You know, and I was able to, you know, so I took a vacation for 2 months and I said, that's it, I'm not going back to do that anymore. And I could because over a decade I accumulated houses that kind of paid for my lifestyle. I just wanted more, so I kept going. Apartment buildings, and I learned a decade later, I mean, you guys can do that pretty damn quick. Really quick. I mean, I used to be excited when I had over $10,000 in revenues on single-family houses. And it took me a year or two, it took me like 2 or 3 years just to get to that. But now I buy an apartment building, it comes with $75,000 in revenues, just like that. Just like that. And we're here to talk today about, okay, $75,000 in revenues, that's great, but we just can't get rich on revenues, we got to get rich on profit. So we're going to talk about how to get rich on profit, but I just want to start with, you got to be in the game. You got to get in the game with the revenues first. You know, positive, you know, don't get me wrong, don't walk into a negative situation. I'm just saying, I'm amazed. So a lot of you might know me or you're seeing me get more involved in you know, this kind of business. So I've been spending a lot of time on the internet lately. I'm just amazed at all the single-family house programs out there right now. I'm not going to keep dwelling on it. I love it. A lot of my colleagues teach it. We made a lot of money in 2000 because banks were lending on single-family houses. Banks aren't really lending on single-family houses right now, hence we're not making a lot of money. I don't care about, you tell me about assignment or subject to or all these kind of new ways of moving around properties. Ultimately, how is a person going to borrow money to cash you out when they don't qualify in the first place in this marketplace we find ourselves in right now? I can tell you that banks and lots of other people are lending money on commercial real estate. I haven't been in a deal yet that I couldn't close. Okay? Knowledge is power. The golden egg. You're going to take this knowledge, and if I can make a baseball analogy, you know, first base, second base, third base, fourth base, or a home run. I've kind of been a little slow this year on actually, we'll see if, you want to ask Randy out there to see if he can get you a seat? Because I know he's got like 10 seats lined up to bring in. And I'm sorry, if people are uncomfortable, move around. Okay, you guys, you know, you took action, you got here early, you know, make yourself comfortable. An analogy. Yeah, so yes, I've spent more time writing and creating another business right now, but my eye's always on commercial real estate. I'm looking for that golden egg. And the golden egg to me is like a triple or a home run. I'm not doing this. I know there's a few other clubs out there right now, and they put deals together, and they return 5% to their investors. I'm not doing that. I'm looking for 15 to 50% returns. And that's returns. Then I'm looking for massive equity. Today I'm going to share with everybody a deal that I'm about to get into. I spoke about a little 2 weeks ago. Lehman Brothers debt, $7.2 million written down to $2.5 million. I mean, that's like a home run. And that's something I'm working on right now. So you need a home run. And that's what we're going to get out of this course today, too. Anyone can more or less buy a building. Anyone more or less can buy a building, but what do you want to make? Do you want to just make 5%? Well, that's easy. Come see me, and I'll help you get in a deal with a 5% return. But again, so we got to look for those golden eggs, and we're going to use the materials, and I'm going to train you what to look out for to find that special deal. Your ticket to cash flowing your dreams, it's this simple. The more doors you have, the more cash flow you have. It's not the more single-family houses you have, it's the more units you have. Units that can be purchased for a third of the price of a single-family house that makes the same amount of money. Learning how to buy apartment buildings is the same as learning how to have money work for you. I don't want to sound like all the other books that we've all read. I'm sure we all read a lot of the same books, but you got to put your money to work. You got to put your money to work. There's so many forces going on right now in the economy. I mean, hyperinflation, devaluation. I had this great experience just last week. I took my son to go open up a bank account. He's 7 years old. And he shows up, and I knew the bankers, so we kind of set it up. I made him put a little tie on. And you know, they gave him the whole treatment, and they showed him the vault and the safe, and so okay, it's time now. So he empties out his pockets, and here's what he pulls out. He pulls out a $5 bill. He pulls out some change. He embarrasses me in front of everybody and says, "Daddy, you owe me $42." I don't know why, but I wasn't going to win that fight in front of everybody. So I pulled $42 out of my pocket. And he had a $100,000 yen note. And this is Encore Bank in like the middle of Memorial, so I'm thinking that's not going to work. And then he had a birthday check from his grandpa. Okay, so the birthday check goes in, and the $42 goes in, and here's what's really interesting about the yen, because I told him we bought that yen last year probably for around $85 for a note that said 100,000 yen on it. And I went the wrong way with my math because I knew that the dollar was kind of getting destroyed against the Japanese yen and other international currencies right now. But it turns out, since the money was in yen, he got $125 because he parked his money in a hard asset outside the country. So just think about that. That's what's kind of going on in this world right now. We're seeing a big 20 to 40% swing on our dollar. And the way I like to protect myself, and the way you should protect yourself, is through hard assets. You guys are going to have to help me stay on course, but I can't resist. I keep approximately 10 to 30% of my net worth in gold and silver. And I'm going to use this as another analogy. So this is an American American Buffalo gold coin. It's 1 ounce gold. And 3 years ago, true story, gold's trading for around $620 spot price. And by the way, we can pass this around. I'm watching. Good camera, okay? Just because I want everyone to kind of see a gold and silver 1 ounce piece. So gold's trading around $620 an ounce, and silver's trading around $15 an ounce. And what we have right now is 3 years later, that coin, the gold coin, as of Friday would probably cost around $1,900 to buy, and I bought it for $620. And the silver, what did I say, $10, $15? Is definitely going between $60 and $70. So we're seeing this inflation right now in gold and silver, and it's going up because people don't want to be in the dollar. Now, I got to keep this down to, I don't want to lose people here, but when I'm making the analogy between gold and silver and apartment buildings right now, because I'm telling you that apartment buildings are priced right now like gold and silver was 3 years ago. And if you just think about all the materials and all the inflation and the lack of land and all that stuff, we can, there's a huge opportunity right now. So you really have a choice. Do you want to buy gold and silver coins at $2,000 for gold and $60, $70 for silver when you could have bought it for $600 and change and $15 and change? If you're ever going to do something, it's the time to do it now. And that's part of my passion. If I can get you guys to just do it now, the personal growth within yourself will be absolutely incredible. Another story. So I'm in Japan last year, and we got to make a decision where we're going to send my son to school. And my wife Takako finds this village school. I don't know if anyone knows it, but I got to move from Pearland. And I'm like, okay, I guess we can do that. And she takes me to this Kickerillo neighborhood. It was absolutely beautiful. But the problem is, I'm coming from Pearland where I think the house was $200,000 or something, and she wants to buy a house that costs more than $1 million. And I'm thinking, well, the houses aren't going to really cover that, so I got to come up with an idea. I'm going to tell you a story later about how I bought 24 houses in Pasadena, Texas while I was in Japan last year. But, so I just happened to have this picture, and these are typical houses in Pasadena, Texas. And that summer, I bought the 24 house package, and I remember having this conversation with my wife. I'm like, sweetie, look at all these houses we just bought. Why do we got to go buy $1 million house? Pick one or pick two, And, well, I've been with her for 20 years, so we know how that went. All right. I ended up buying that house, but I sure as hell needed more cash flow in my life because I wasn't in corporate America anymore. I didn't have that, I don't know if you want to call it stability or whatever that kind of, that feeling you get from being part of a larger organization. And I kind of had all these, internal problems that I kind of shared with everybody 2 weeks ago. So I'm taking in all this debt, this personal debt, because that's kind of bad debt, right? It's not making me money. So I started buying apartment buildings. And so, again, my wife, Takako, my son, Jake, we're buying apartment buildings, And the only way that, the coins? I hear someone jingling in the pocket. Ron, the camera. No. So we need to be in businesses that make you money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's just not enough time in life anymore. There's so many things to do. There's so many different directions to turn. And you need to scale up as fast as possible. And you need to do that with apartment buildings because you just can't do it with houses. And I'm modest, but I'm an expert on 102 houses. You cannot scale up fast enough on single-family houses. You can with apartment buildings. And, again, there's enough money to go around where you can pay someone to run your business, your apartment business. Easy entry. It really is easy entry. I mean, there's so many businesses where we have to have specialized knowledge. Go to school for, until you're 35 years old. I mean, you have these courses in your hand. That it really is a collaboration on what I did in the last 20 years. And I know a few of you have already gone through it. So you get to really start where I am right now. Easy entry. We've heard this. The most wealthy people in the world hold real estate. We know it to be true. I told you, 10 to 30%, my net worth is in gold and silver. Most of my net worth is obviously in real estate. Cash flowing real estate. And we're going to talk about ROE. You might want to write that down. It's going to be important today, which stands for rate of return of equity. Because a lot of us are rich in equity. A farmer is rich in land, but poor in cash. So we're going to talk about ROE today. Most wealthy people in the world hold real estate. It's because they buy it and they just walk away from it, and they wake up 10 or 20 years later and they find out that they own it, or that it's worth a lot of money, or it's cash flowing so much, or the government created some kind of loophole where you can refinance that property and pull the money out tax-free and pay taxes when you're dead. I mean, there's so many incentives. The government wants to be in business with you. They don't want to house the people. It didn't work out for Europe in the 18th century. I mean, they don't want to house people. They want investors to house people. So we find ourselves in a very difficult economic climate, but there's still some absolutely incredible tax savings offered to us to step up and offer housing. A way to raise the quality of living. We won't spend too much time on it, but that's why we're here right now. Saturday, we're here all day to raise the quality of our living. It is my passion. I want to help you. I want you to see what's going on out there. You got to break out of the pattern, or whatever that record is playing in your head. Scratch it, break it, just inject it with some new ideas. Quickest way to get wealthy. I challenge anyone to really tell me that apartment buildings are not the quickest way to get wealthy in real estate. John F. Kennedy, a rising tide lifts all boats. A rising tide lifts all boats, because that's what's happening right now in our real estate market. Do you really think populations are shrinking? Doesn't matter what happens in the political climate here in the United States. We've probably just crossed over 300 million people. We're probably going to be 400 million people in the next 5 years. Where are we going to house all these people? I've spent over a decade outside of this country, and I'm telling you that people want to come here because it truly is the best place to be, no matter what. Interest rates, they're literally zero. I realize we can't borrow money at 0%, but banks are borrowing money from the Fed between 0 and 0.5% right now. So they're just making a spread on us, but that's just the way it is. But the point is, you can get into commercial real estate 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% right now. At least we're not sitting here when it's 15 or 20%. So the climate has never been better either. Recession. I hate to sit up here and gloat, because a recession is not good for anybody. But what can I say? We're renting apartment units. Where's everybody going to go? I can't take responsibility for everybody in the world. I want to help, but at least it's better than living on the street, or I'm sorry you lost your house. I had this incredible apartment building. I have a program in my single-family house portfolio where I help people get out of the apartments and into single-family houses. Supply housing. Colin, we spoke about last week. He's one of my students, and I think we're going to watch a video later. We're trying to buy an apartment building right now. Thank you. Of course, I get the $50 one back first. It went out last. FIFO. He actually kind of helped me see the light in helping people understand this process. We started looking at 30, 40 unit buildings. I guess I kind of graduated into larger things right now. But we're walking this property, and we're really taking it apart, and we're talking about his life, and we're talking about the cash flow, and we're working with the broker, and we're working with the bank. And I can't tell you that we bought it yet, but we're in the process of really trying to buy it. And it's fantastic, and we'll talk more about how I can help everybody here actually do that, besides doing it on your own. But it's happening. It's happening. And I got to stay on point here, but there's so many 30, 40, 50 unit complexes out there right now. Don't wanters. Don't wanters. So let's get in there. I mean, look at you guys. Congratulations. There was, I think, 250 people at the Rich Club last Saturday, and there's 25 or 30 people here right now. And then of this 25 and 30 people, I hope my rate's really high, but what is it going to be? 10, 20, 30% of people that actually do something. So commit to doing it. Why do we believe that apartments are hard? What is it actually? Large numbers? Is it a secret? Are you afraid to say, I don't want to just collect $1,000 a month and from a single-family house and not try to collect $10,000 a month? It's no different. It's absolutely no different. It's easier because when you're collecting $10,000 a month, you can pay someone to collect the money. But when you're collecting $1,000 a month, you're probably driving over there or you have your eye on the property. And that's going to slow you down because it did me. Right? So single-family houses are very difficult to manage. Fear of the unknown. That's really what it is. And that's what we're doing here today. And that's why I'm really sharing with you 5 buildings that I just bought in probably last, 12 to 18 months. I mean, if you can go through my 5 buildings, why can't yours be the 6th? High risk. I think, just so we all know where my mindset is, I think working for other people is a high risk. Every time I had a job and I got up there in money, I was always like the first one on the chopping block. Or you could be the best at your company and everything's going great, but someone else is eyeing your corporation and they have their own plans. So that was always high risk to me, working for somebody else. High risk of, buying apartment buildings. I'm going to say it 1,000 times today. It's easier to buy an apartment building and sell an apartment building than it is to buy and sell a single-family house. 4 ways to look at apartment buildings versus single-family houses. Let's see if we can get to this quickly. Folks, I was really trying to throw some technology at us today, and now I just got to kind of stretch my eyes. And we'll see here. I thought if I can kind of see if that works. I'll keep talking and see if it comes up. Oh, I don't want to start there.
Hi, my name's Alan Schnurr.
All right.
In this video, I'm going to show you the truth about real estate investing and how I achieve. Hi, my name's Alan Schnurr. In this video, I'm going to show. Hi, my name's Alan Schnurr. That I desire and overcome the anxiety of the bills that I have to pay and not knowing when or. Hi, my name's Alan Schnurr. But first, let me tell you a story about a recent deal I tried to pull off in the single-family house.
I'm not an actor.
Business.
I'm a regular guy.
In one particular town. They all range from $80,000 to $100,000. I decided to sell one for $65,000 to an investor. The investor, great credit, great income, very bankable. And the bank that we were using, nationally known name bank, was very, very difficult to work with. It went on for almost 4 months. They finally asked us for a second appraisal and an engineering report. It was just very clear to me that this particular bank didn't want to lend on single-family houses. Now, I'm not quite sure if they were concerned about the huge amount of foreclosures headed their way, or they were just caught up in a lending crisis. But I'm just amazed at all the new programs that you see on the internet every day. Short sales, for example. I have to tell you, I don't personally even know one investor who's consistently making money with single-family short sales. Real estate agents hate them. Everybody complains that banks aren't approving any deals that make sense for investors. They take forever to get through. And the paperwork is absolutely insane. And then there's other strategies that don't involve bank approval or bank financing. Lease options, assignments, subject to deals, owner financing. Everyone I know who has actually tried these successfully is basically settling for small profits that require a lot of work. And how are you supposed to make a consistent income selling underwater houses to buyers who can't afford to buy cheap houses with a bank loan? Let's face it. When the market was hot, everybody made money because the banks were lending. and because values were going up. But right now, single-family houses just aren't cutting it. Banks aren't lending now. They have a huge mess to clean up. And the way the government's getting involved in the real estate market, it's not making it any easier for us to predict where values are headed. Fannie and Freddie, they're letting us know that there's millions of foreclosures coming our way.
Now, most...
All right. Let's get back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so we're talking about single-family houses and we're talking about apartment buildings, and I learned with luxury houses, maybe 2,000 to 3,000 square feet houses. I mean, the reality is a lot of us are not renting those houses for $2,000 to $3,000 a month like we should be, 1%. When you start breaking those numbers down to apartment units, the rate of return you're going to get in your money is so much greater with apartment buildings and apartment units compared to houses. We're going to go into that in a second. And then we're going to talk about market value versus forced appreciation and deal qualification versus personal credit. You know, when you buy an apartment building, they're really looking at the asset and not so much the person. So I think I spoke about this 2 weeks ago. These houses, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 houses. These apartment units, $12,000, $13,000 a piece, maybe $14 or $15 after a little rehab. I'm telling you that these make a lot more than those. This is a lot easier to run. You know, I figured it out over a decade how to really fine-tune this machine, but it's a lot of work. So it's about rate of return, ROI, rate of return. Where are you going to make the most money? Where are you going to save the most time and efficiency? Regular cash flow. Regular cash flow. It's when you buy apartment buildings, it's believe me, it kind of fluctuates, but it's regular. It's like an apartment building that should bring in $75,000 a month. We're kind of always there because we've already factored in vacancy of like 10 to 15%. I'm going to show you when you're working with management companies how to do that. They'll do it for you anyway, so you'll know. But you don't have that in the single-family house business because we don't have budgets and we don't have property managers. So it's all about leverage and how to best leverage your time and money. ROE, I'm going to pick it up right now. Rate of return of equity, rate of return of equity. So a lot of us own houses here. I got 100 houses. Let's just say the average price is I don't know, say it's $40,000, and let's just say for simplicity that they're all worth $75,000. So I got $3.5 million of dead equity. If you get my rate of return of equity, if you get my rate of return of equity on $3.5 million or a $7.5 million portfolio, I'm getting absolutely destroyed. It's like 1 or 2 or 3% of what I'm clearing. So in apartment buildings, when you get that dead equity, when you buy something for $1 million and it's worth $3 million and there's $2 million of equity sitting there, it's easy to refinance. Easy. I figured out how to do it in the single-family house business. There's a few houses that I bought for cash towards the end of my portfolio. I just haven't gotten around to refinancing. I don't get a penny in 102 houses. Not one penny. But it took me over a decade to figure out how to pull all that money out and still cash flow and run it like a business. But when you capture $1 million of equity or $2 million of equity in an apartment building, I'm talking about like 90 days. I mean, yes, it's harder than it was 12 months ago, and there still are some market forces out there that will slow you down. You can refinance an apartment building, a lot easier than single-family houses. And deal qualification versus personal credit. A lot of you don't have the best credit out there. You're worried, or maybe you tapped out on some loans, some equity line of credit. I can't remember the last time someone actually checked my credit to buy an apartment building. Is that unbelievable? They haven't checked my credit as far as I know. The only person that actually checked my credit that I know of was a student who heard a speaker, a student asked me for my credit report. That's it, a student. And so I went to freecreditreport.com, which isn't free. And I still can't figure out how to shut off. I pay $15 a month for it. I call them, yeah. Yeah, so, but other than that, I don't have any credit issues with banks. I mean, they're more interested in the asset. The deal is evaluated, not the person. Not the case for a single-family house business. Okay, we're gonna. So there's a lot of apartment buildings out there right now for sale, and we're not here talking about A real estate, which would be top-of-the-line real estate built in the last 10 years. We're really here talking about, I think for most of us, we're here talking about C-class buildings, stuff that's been built in the last 30 years or 25, 35 years, because that's where the value is right now, and that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for C-class assets right now, and there's like a massive wealth transfer going on right now because there's a lot of people, and we're going to talk about why they paid too much money over the last 5, 10, or 15 years for their properties that need to get out of them. So there's this transfer going on. It's like everybody on this side of the room who bought apartment buildings 5, 10, or 15 years ago, you're burnt out, you've depreciated the asset, you don't see a lot of value in running it, you didn't buy my course, you don't know what you're doing. And then over here, it's like we're gung-ho, we're ready. I've been listening to Alan for a few days, and we're going to cut the expenses, and we're going to raise the revenues, and we're going to take a cap rate, and we're going to multiply it by this, and we're going to increase the value by $1 million. It's happening right now, and you're going to get that idea pretty soon. So you have the opportunity to build a legacy because you can, out of nowhere. I mean, tell me one business where you can walk in there and have yourself this might seem ambitious, but a $10 or $20 million portfolio of real estate just like that, out of nowhere, out of thin air. My real estate portfolio is more than that. So ask yourself a question. If you always wanted to get involved in real estate, and if you don't act now, when will you? Don't be fooled and jump in at the top, like those coins. Just checking to see if they were there. Focus on your cash flow using the following information to create wealth. This is not a seminar on just getting rich. It's about accumulating cash flowing assets that appreciate with time. That's really it. Accumulating assets that appreciate with time, that cash flow. A lot of us have our 401ks out there, our retirement plans out there. I don't even understand. I don't understand the philosophy on them. Why is it that you have to work until you're 65 or whatever the age is, and then you can start taking the money out? Whose plan is that? I don't want to work until I'm 65 unless I want to really work. These are some of the deals I'm doing right now. These are some of the deals you could be doing right now. Me, a bunch of students, investors, bought something for $720,000 from U.S. Bancorp 2 months ago. Unfortunately, someone paid $3 million 3 years for it. I was at an auction 2 months ago. I worked at a deal with a bank, and it didn't work out 5 minutes before the auction. I watched someone buy 60 destroyed houses for $5,000 a piece. This is a deal I'm working on right now. 115 houses, $7.2 million debt, written down to $2.5 million debt, $22,000 a house, $18 a square foot. Comes with $52,000 a month in revenues, and it's half full. These are the kind of deals that will change your life. This is what I need to train you to look out for. And that's what it's all about. I mean, that's my game room in the house. Really, we play Monopoly with this stuff. We send it through the machine, and then it's nothing but paper. My wife gets a little upset. She thinks it's dirty, but it's cleaner than dollar bills. Profiting in today's real estate environment, we have the opportunity to make up for lost time. I don't know where you are on your retirement plans. If you have a retirement plan, if you got whipsawed from 2008 to 2011 in the stock market, you can speed it up with apartment buildings. Matter of fact, I'll make sure you're ahead. I'll get you ahead because it's all all about the cash flow. I'm not trying to, generate all these returns that I can't touch until I'm 65 years old. I want the money every month. Sometimes it has to be quarterly because of the way we set up our accounting systems between accrual and cash. We'll talk more about that later. But I want my money every month. And you get that in apartment buildings. Fix our retirement accounts and understand our investments. What took me 10 years to accumulate in single-family houses, what I could never accumulate in the stock market, what I could never accumulate in corporate America, I can accumulate in weeks with apartment buildings. The cash flow that has taken me at least 10 years to accumulate in single-family houses was created within 1 year in buying apartment buildings. One apartment building can change your life if you can break away from the old ideas. The old ideas. I mean, whoever set this system up for us, what can I say? They're dead. And those ideas are dead too. Huge equity gains right now. Right, let me just go back. $300,000 I bought that for. 52-unit building. $300,000. Yes, I fixed it up. And I think we might go through a case study today on this building. Nobody wanted it. 45 in Broadway, right here in Houston. That's it. I mean, it kind of pays the note on my house, but I got to check the numbers on that one. But still, it cash flows a lot of money. Let's talk about who you need on your team to start making this happen. So I'm giving you an overall introduction to the whole entire course, and now we'll really start talking about how to make it happen. Brokers. Get a broker. Matter of fact, just so I know that nobody kind of feels like, I'm going to bring everybody value right now. We're going to open up my phone, and I get absolutely no money for making these recommendations. I'm going to tell you who I work with, and let's just do this right now. Broker. Let's see here. I use a few. I'll share Tarantino Brokers here in Houston, Texas. I think they're national.
Who's that again?
Tarantino, and I'm even going to give you a phone number here. Jordan is his name. His phone number is 713-471-7601. Jordan, I apologize in case this gets across America on the internet. 713-471-7601. Matter of fact, you heard Jordan speak in the bonus section on my course. Tarantino Properties. It doesn't have to be Jordan. Maybe you want to get a new broker. So happens Jordan just started there in the last 6 months. He came from another brokerage shop, and that's how you build your book in the brokerage business. But one thing I like about Tarantino Properties is they usually get the phone call on the distressed C-class assets from banks and receivers and kind of the whole all the ideas I share with you in my course. So Tarantino Properties is a good one. Lenders. It's up to you. If you have a banking relationship, then go after it. You deserve it. I banked with Merrill Lynch for 20 years. They watched me build a few businesses from $0 to $10 million in sales. I asked them to help me buy that $1 million house, and they said, no, thank you. After 20 years, because they didn't like my credit report because I had 12 rental houses on it. So I closed it down. That's it. You get to vote. You decide where you want to do business. I'm never going to do business again with a big bank. I can't stand Chase. Absolutely can't stand them. It's a supermarket. So you're going to have to, sooner or later, you're going to have to borrow money. So go open a bank account Monday morning at a local bank. Encore Bank, Texas Citizens Bank, Amegy Bank, Enterprise Bank, Regions. These guys are eating it up because the big guys are out of the picture right now. They love lending money to their local area. Matter of fact, they have to lend money to their local area or they get their hands slapped by the Fed. Lenders, general contractors. Who do you need on your team? A general contractor. Okay, that one's a little more tricky. I can't give you the name of mine because he's really busy. But I can make a lot of recommendations. I won't right now, but we can solve that problem, general contractor. There's lots of construction companies out there too. property management company, property manager. It's really up to you. I'm using one that when I bought a building in the beginning of the year, he was about to lose his job. He told me he always wanted to start a company and property management company. I gave him a shot. It's working out great. I love it. I pay the whole entire payroll, but all I do is write a check to him, and then he pays the 40 to 50 people that would be working for me. Property management company. I use his. It's Bayou City Management. His name's Trace. Trace's phone number is 832-483-4913. I can't highly recommend how important it is to start with a property manager. I didn't. I learned the hard way. He probably would have helped me save time, money, and energy, and I would have been here with you a lot quicker. Attorneys, we can talk about that later, but you do want a good attorney. You're never going to get involved in a transaction without using an attorney in commercial real estate. Mortgage broker. Is it BMC? I want to say BMC Capital. Mike is his name. It's on my other phone. But these guys, like he's shopping a deal for me right now. He'll hit 20 to 30 banks in just a few days, a lot quicker than I can do it. So it'll cost you a little money, but you're going to buy that property that much cheaper to get this done. Quick and easy. Virtual assistant. A lot of us didn't have access to these kind of people over the last 10 or 20 years. I have a few working for me right now. It's unbelievable, all over the world. When I'm sleeping, they're doing my work. They make between $3 to $5 an hour. And I usually, well, one I have on a salary, others I pay by the job. If you go to elance.com, you need help. So I've shared the story with you. I have one that she lives in England. She runs 102 single-family house portfolio for me. It works out great. If you don't physically have to do it yourself, pay someone to do it. If you can't afford how to pay that person, well, figure it out in your business model. That's the problem. You're not figuring it out. Add it in there. Virtual assistant. And you're going to need a CPA, a bookkeeper. I'll share my bookkeeper with everybody. I see her every Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock. We go through my personal life on a P&L and a balance sheet. And then we go through my apartment buildings. And then we go through my single-family house portfolio. It's great. She is in charge of writing all the checks for my single-family house business. And all I have to do is go in there and sign. Laura. Hang on. Her name is Laura. And her phone number is 832-594-4435. I'm really doing this just to kind of make a point. Oh, sorry. I'm just so worked up. I think everybody should do it. 832-594-4435. I have a student. He's a doctor. His wife's a doctor. And he does his own books. He's his own bookkeeper. It's just completely ridiculous. What kind of money can you make? I was sitting down with Arturo this week. We were talking about this. I wouldn't get involved in a deal where you're not projecting to make at least $100. I should raise that a door, okay? A door, because it's very possible. So when we figure out how to evaluate all these buildings, all these apartment buildings, you're going to know that you can make around $100 a door. And we'll talk about how to back into your number. We're going to talk about how to back into your number so we can figure out your retirement plan. But if you're looking at a 34-unit building, C-class, most likely, I mean, most likely you're going to make $100 a year, that door. So 34-unit building, $3,400 a month. How many buildings do you need? So that's the rule of thumb. Of course, we're going to, there's got to be a huge equity capture play. Again, maybe you find something worth $3 million or sold for $3 million. Maybe it appraises for $2 million, and you can buy it for $1 million. That's how you. Those are the game changers. You're going to buy it for the third of the value. How much money do you want to make? Bill or William? How much money do you think you need a month to live? You, your family, or 5, 10, 15,000? Pick A, B, or C. 10,000. 10,000 a month. Okay. So $100 a door. Was that 100? 100 times 100. No. 100, right? That's it. We'll get you 100 apartment, 100 unit building apartment, and you're done.
We ain't left yet.
What?
We ain't left yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, 100. I mean, but that's what, those are the kind of plans we didn't have starting out in life. That if you can make it real, it's real when you schedule it, when you write it down. Of course, you got to decide what kind of money you can make. Do you want to be passive or active? Well, I'm right here, so please come talk to me. Because, we'll talk about my deals later. I mean, I need to raise $3.2 million, and there's lots of rules and regulations that I have to follow. And I'm halfway there. And I wouldn't do a deal that's not going to return at least 15%. And I'm saying that to be safe. Can't get up here and say everyone's going to make 30, 40% of their money or I'll get in trouble. So you always want to overpromise. Thank you. Underpromise. Yeah. That's the dyslexia in me. I never forget growing up, a great friend of mine, Roy, he couldn't compute why I was having problems. And he got behind me and he got a little physical. And he goes, "What's that, Alan?" I'm like, letter L. He's like, "Yeah, L for loser, L for left. Never forget. L for left." So that's kind of how I remember that. My whole life. So self-manage or hire, yes. So you want to buy an apartment building, please, unless you have a lot of extra time in your hands and you think you can really take in all this information, which some of you can, then make yourself an extra $30,000 to $50,000 a year and manage your own apartment building. Point. When you do self-manage and you start working with the bank and you're trying to show them how sexy your numbers look and that you do it, they're going to analyze that deal. They're going to analyze that deal if you weren't there because they'll have to pay someone else to manage that building. So I see a lot of deals come across my desk where someone's self-managing and they don't put in the administration cost. I want to be a portfolio investor. And I want to kind of have my own REIT or whatever the political correct way of saying things is. One's not enough. One's not enough. $100,000 of cash flow I said I want to have when we started this morning. So $100,000 of cash flow times $100 a unit, that's probably 1,000 doors, right? So I actually tell myself 1,500. So yeah, so there we go. So I know I need to buy at least 1,000 doors, and so I own approximately 650 doors. They're not all mine 100%. So maybe that's why I made it 1,500, because I know once I get to 1,500, I'll get paid like 1,000 are mine. Cash flow your dreams. So that's what I do in the morning. I go through the whole business plan. If it's a few minutes or a half an hour, if I get caught up in those loops. Sometimes in the morning we wake up, we get caught up in those loops, and you just kind of say to yourself, what the hell just happened for the last 30 minutes? I walked around the lake this morning for a half a mile, and I was actually thinking about what I was going to say when I was up here, and I was envisioning it, but I didn't notice anything around me. It was just a bliss. I couldn't believe I just walked a half a mile. So, tie this in. You have to reward yourself. Bill, you need 100 units. So what are you going to do once you get 100 units? You reward yourself. Yeah, absolutely. But start with 100 because you got to build a foundation, and then maybe the second 100, you're seriously buying something like this, or you won't buy it. You're going to help me cash flow it. Okay, cash flow it. You don't, you know, this might cost $3 million in Oahu, or this might cost $2 million in Okinawa, or it might cost $250,000 in Surfside. So don't sit around trying to figure out how you're going to buy it for cash. Sit around and figure how you can buy an apartment building, and the cash flow will pay for that. That's how I do it. Cash flow, how are we doing on time? 10 o'clock? Oh, we're good. Cash flow transformation. How much money do you need a month? So let's just go through a few of these examples quickly. Terrence, how much money do you need a month?
I was thinking more like 100,000.
Okay, so you're kind of following my path, which I don't know if is healthy. No. Okay, so we know like 1,000 units. But here's what's so exciting about when you do this. I see 1,000-unit deals all the time. So it's just a mind shift. Why haven't I bought it yet? I was talking to my business partner yesterday. So pretty good week. So I need to raise $3.2 million. I've raised, let's say I raised half already from existing people that I'm in deals with. And then I found 3 lenders that I'm going to actually put against each other. I'm pretty damn sure that if I can't raise all that money, then I'll get like 50% debt on the property. I said to my partner the other day, I'm like, we're spending all our time, on this $3.2 million deal, but why aren't we looking at the $10 million, 1,000-unit apartment complex deal? And that's it. You're done. It's the mindset. Just the mindset. Hang on. But let's take it, hang on. Because a lot of us here, you're done. I mean, so $100,000 a month and you're done. Could you ever get to that number? Could you ever get to that number doing what you're doing now? Anyone here? When that hit me, it hit me really hard. Because I believed I could. You're going to change tape? Okay. Stretch.